Hello out there. Again, this is Policy Without Politics. Today we are going to talk about the two biggest private investment Nigeria has ever seen. It has not happened in our history until recent times. We're talking about the Dangote Refinery and the Eko Atlantic. And I have today my co-hosts, MCO, Mustafa Chike Obi. But there's going to be a slight distinction because slight adjustments in the sense that I'll probably ask the questions today because I know I can lead you to the correct answers.
Into trouble?
No, not trouble. I can protect you, and lead you to the correct answers, more accurate, so that people can take out the more salient and very important information surrounding this behemoth that we call private investment in Nigeria. This is two big legacy private investment legacies, Eko Atlantic and the Dangote Refinery. When we come back, we x-ray it further. Welcome, MCO.
I'm ready for your question.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Fantastic. So, how does it affect Nigerians? They are quite big. They are humongous. These are big investments. It has not happened in Nigeria in decades. And these are the kind of things when we seek that Nigeria should move forward. These are the kind of developments we seek. But it comes with applause and it also comes with its own consequences and the narratives around it. Policy Without Politics is a program that will help X-ray look at properties like that and bring to Nigerians the benefits. Bring to Nigerians the problems associated with it, the challenge, maybe not problems, but challenges associated, because you can't do anything that is big, that comes with big benefit, and you don't expect that there will be challenges. So let's start with Dangote Refinery.
Yes.
By the way, both the refinery and Eko Atlantic exists, do I call it, in a national register of pride? Because these are two big investments that will hold in price, women in price, But this pride, has it been earned partially or earned fully, And is it true or false in people's subconscious that we should hold them in pride?
Well, let me first say I'm a huge fan of both projects. Those projects require imagination, and both projects require a lot of persistence, going through a number of hurdles to get there.
Yeah.
And Nigerians should rightly be proud of both the Dangote Refinery and Eko Atlantic.
Yeah.
But I think what we're trying to x-ray here is the national response to the Dangote Refinery, and the national response to Eko Atlantic.
Yeah.
It's clear that one is much louder in the public perception than the other.
Okay.
But both projects are of almost equal size in terms of valuation. They have different impacts on things which you go into employment, but they're both noteworthy projects. We want to make sure that government policy for both projects is consistent. If government is going to invest in one, maybe they should invest in many others. Government has a very wonderful investment vehicle called MOFI, Ministry of Finance Incorporated. They also have the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And the investment in the Dangote Refinery, as we stand today, has borne fruit. Maybe it has doubled in value. And it's a small investment, in terms of shareholding. So government is not intrusive. Government becomes more protective than intrusive. When government owns too much, it becomes intrusive. So it's good. It's a good investment. But maybe that should be replicated in many other places. I'm not aware of any government direct investment in Eko Atlantic. I'm not aware of any government investment in telecoms direct. Maybe even banking. Maybe government should own 5% share in a number of banks. But my point is, it's a policy we should look at. Government must be even-handed across all industries.
So, MCO, Dangote Refinery has delivered, if I can assume, and it's an assumption, the most tangible, widely felt benefits. For example, petrol supply now exceeds 90% of demand. Do you agree with that?
Well, it is difficult because many things happen at the same time. If you ask me, I think that what was causing fuel scarcity and fuel shortage, intermittent fuel scarcity, was the subsidy. The subsidy made it impossible for importers to import and make money. They had to import, sell at a lower price, and then hope to get the money back from NNPC.
Yeah.
If you, however, try to collect money from government, you know that that's not always as seamless as it should be.
Yeah.
So in the end, NNPC became the sole importer. And I think that's what was causing much of the scarcity. I don't think that the refinery by itself, if there was fuel subsidy, will have solved that problem. So I think we're giving credit to the refinery for something where the credit largely lies with the removal of the fuel subsidy. That's my view. And so, but let us say there are no more fuel queues. And Nigerians are happy.
Yes, we're happy. What's important is that, because what is good about life is that you create value or you fill a gap in need.
Yes.
So at least the Dangote Refinery has filled a gap in need.
Yes.
So there's a real change in the daily life of Nigerians as a result for every Nigerian who, for example, uses transportation, drives, buy goods and transport. So there's this assumption that projected annual forex savings in Nigeria due to this development has moved up to $25 to $30 billion. Can you clarify this?
Yes. The numbers that people quote for FX savings reflects what the import bill of fuel used to be. But it doesn't take into account what the export receipts of crude oil was. You must subtract those two. And the real savings is no more than 10% of that import. Because if you give the crude oil to the Dangote Refinery, you don't earn the dollars you'll have earned by selling the crude oil in dollars. You give it to him, he gives you back petrol, and maybe he gives you back the petrol cheaper than you'll have imported it. That's arguable. But the numbers being quoted as FX savings is not correct. It's no more than 10% of that number. And I can go into the details of it, but my number is correct. The 25 is wrong, and the number is somewhere between 10%, maybe 15% of that. So yes, there's some relief in FX. But again, the reason why FX seems better today, it's not because of the refinery. Yeah. It's two things that have made FX better today. One, the extremely high and unsustainable interest rates, which attracts foreign short-term investment into Nigeria. And two, the liberalization of the FX regime. So the policy of liberalizing the FX regime is very good, made things certain and easy, but the interest rates that's supporting the Naira is unsustainable and will eventually destroy Nigerian industries. So again, Dangote Refinery has some benefit to FX, but it's not of the magnitude that people think it is.
Yeah, and talking about benefits, I'm happy we've read that because, like I said at the intro, there will be a lot of benefits, and of course, there will be residual challenges that come with it. What is important is that the train has left the station. We have moved away from where we were before the advent of the Dangote Refinery, and you are pleasantly happy with that, Umberto.
I'm happy with that, but let us understand one thing. The Dangote Refinery ultimately has to be able to produce petroleum products more efficiently than the imports. You cannot permanently ban imports of petroleum products. You can ban it for a while to give the refinery time to catch its feet, like a newborn child. But at some point, it must be competitive. Because if it's not competitive and you're banning imports, you're just making Nigerians bear the cost of a higher, less efficient production forever. Yeah. But I mean, we can give him 5 years. Yeah. And in 5 years' time, he should be competitive with Valero, who is the biggest refiner in the world. And I would love it if the Dangote Refinery can tell us what it costs him to produce 1 liter of PMS, his cost of production. It'd be a nice thing to know. Because as it goes down with scale and experience, it shows us the increasing inefficiency And that should be passed on to the Nigerians.
Yeah, it's a huge organization, and I'm sure they understand the importance of accountability. At some point, that conversation will come up, and I'm sure they'll be happy to come to the table. But let's look at some benefits from Dangote Refinery.
Yes.
Just in case you miss it, those of you that listen. In 2025, for example, the refinery produced its country petrol price, reduced it. The country petrol price, 8 times, while increasing it only twice. It's a phenomenon that should be applauded, isn't it?
Absolutely applauded. I think that the sensitivity of the pricing to the market is important.
Okay.
And as he's reducing it, we shouldn't complain when he increases it.
Yeah.
However, when he increases it, he also should be mindful that he doesn't over-increase it. And that's where regulation and supervision matter. But yes, there is no gainsaying that the Dangote Refinery is a good thing for Nigeria. But the concern should be, what is government policy? Look, Nigerians, the big mistake I believe that the Dangote Refinery has made is they positioned it as savior for the Nigerian economy.
It's a perception problem.
Once it starts, all our problems are solved. That will never happen. And I think that I'm worried that when people realize that it's a useful, important part of our economic life, but it's not the be-all and end-all. And I don't want to be disappointed with the refinery because it has been oversold as our economic savior. It is not our economic savior, and it shouldn't be. And you should expect more from other sectors of the economy than hold all your hopes.
That wasn't the original purpose. The original economic purpose is that to bring up a business that's able to compete and then in the process deliver dividends and succor to Nigerians, isn't it? And feel like
I think many people are marketed as a savior, as an economic savior. Yeah. And I think that those people are making a mistake.
Yeah.
And they're not doing Mr. Dangote any favor.
But I'm sure it's not Dangote as a company that's marketing it as such. It is left for them to decide what the use of their own strategic communication to adjust this perception.
Maybe, but if you watch Arise, I watch Arise every day because Ndoka is my brother.
Yes.
So I watch Arise every day, faithfully. There's rarely a day that goes by that one of the anchors doesn't say, Aliko Dangote has saved us from this or this and that, Iran war, he saved us. There's always the expectations that have been placed on his refinery that are not fair to him or to the Nigerian people. And I think that, like you say, a communicator, they should tamp it down.
So I get your point, MCO, but you know what? There is a difference between knowing and understanding. Now, infrastructural development, because in the Igbo folklore, we say Ihukumere, when something big happens, other big things follow it, and big stories follow it. Let's look at some other things that has happened with the advent of that refinery around infrastructure and development that has come with it. So have we seen rapid infrastructural growth, things like real estate development, job creation directly tied to this refinery, and exponential development of the human capital index just because there was a refinery around the place?
Well, anytime you throw 20 billion into an undeveloped space, and you manage it well, it will have some good beneficial effects.
Yeah.
But let's understand what a refinery is. Refineries are self-contained, largely hostile to the environment in terms of pollution and all that. Very capital intensive, low labor intensive. It will not employ hundreds of thousands of people on a permanent basis. It may employ people when they're constructing it. But on an ongoing basis, I cannot see that refinery employing more than a couple of thousand people on a permanent basis. It's not going to expand the real estate around it by as much because there's isolated things. And people don't like to live near refineries. FYI. If you go to all the refineries in the US and all that, they're pretty isolated.
Yeah.
What is of more impact is the coastal road in terms of real estate development and property development and all that, and infrastructure development around the coastal road. So the refinery should not be seen as the engine of economic growth. It should be seen as an enabler at best for economic growth, but not an engine.
Yeah. But would they attract companies, could that place become a commercial hub as a result?
I don't think so. I think the refineries are look, we have refinery towns all over the southwest USA. They are pretty isolated.
Yeah.
There's not many businesses that can grow around the refinery. If you're employing 3,000 people, how many hotels can you have? How many restaurants can you have? It's not a big employment generator now.
All right, but let's look at community dissatisfaction, because when you land a project of that size in any community, there will be satisfaction and there will be dissatisfaction. What is important is how we manage it and how we balance it. As at the last count, I'm hearing that about 48 communities around that place have even sued Lagos State government on account of land allocation, claiming that this company has come, it has the capacity to provide us electricity, good water, schools, and so on and so forth. How do you see this, and how do you think it should be?
Those are the two things I talked about.
Yeah.
Managing success in Nigeria is very difficult.
Yeah.
So once the refinery is successful, every stakeholder comes from everywhere, from every hole in the ground,
Yes.
asking for their own piece of it. So managing success is something that, again, is communication.
Yes.
And again, is grants and developments you can give people around there. But managing success is not a trivial thing in Nigeria. I mean, this is what we're talking about.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, yeah. So people are going to ask for all sorts of things, yes. And again, also it ties into the fact that people are going to expect much more than the refinery can deliver. And those are things that I hope the management of the refinery can.
So viewers, this is a good point to note, because this is the gap between corporate social responsibility and community reality. It's so important when things like this happen. There's always this gap, that one between corporate social responsibility and community reality, because it's a big problem, whether it is Dangote, whether it is rice mill, whether it is oil wells.
Yeah. Well, you see what you've done now.
One is happening in my own local government.
Well, you see what you've done now.
To deal with it.
You've spent all the time talking about the refinery. You spent no time talking about Eko Atlantic.
I'm going there.
Equally
Yes.
important project.
Yes, I'm deliberate about it. I'm going to Eko. I want to give this one the attention it deserves, but the Eko Atlantic does not deserve any less, and that takes me to Eko Atlantic.
Yes.
Now, let me give you some posers. Eko Atlantic is even more contested if you talk about challenges. But in your own estimation, what has Eko Atlantic impacted on the average Nigerian? Just for the benefit of the listener.
So, Eko Atlantic, in terms of value to GDP, is, in my opinion, comparable to the refinery.
Okay.
It may be bigger. Eko Atlantic is stated purpose, and this was reclaimed land with a seawall.
Yeah.
That the purpose, we'll see about over 100 years, whether it's physical purpose, prevent erosion of Victoria land in Ikoyi.
Yeah.
People are saying it may not have done that, but that is superficial knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
But that was its purpose. It will, 10 years from now, it will employ more people
Than the refinery.
in 1 year than the refinery can employ in 10 years.
Yeah.
So the employment potential of Eko Atlantic is much bigger than the refinery.
Yeah.
The economic impact as it develops, as you know, America is building, US is building, I think, its biggest foreign embassy in Eko Atlantic.
Okay.
First Bank is there. There are a number of restaurants and hotels there. I think MTN is going there.
Yeah.
I think by the time Eko Atlantic is a well thought out, developed
City
is done.
Yeah.
I think the impact on the Nigerian economy and GDP will, in my opinion, dwarf that of the refinery. But now let's ask, what is government policy towards Eko Atlantic, and how does it differ from the government policy towards the refinery?
Okay.
And that's where I think government should be even-handed. If government is going to invest in something as big, important, and successful as the refinery, they should consider an investment in Eko Atlantic in some way. I know Femi Otedola encouraged First Bank to move there as the means of supporting the project. I know that. So that's a good thing. I think other large institutions should follow suit. Eko Atlantic is not asking for government support in terms of import bans and all that stuff. Eko Atlantic they're both free trade zones. But it seems to me, from a distance, Eko Atlantic is far less dependent on the good graces of the federal government and the Lagos state government than the refinery seems to be. And I think government should...
Maybe it's a matter of urgency.
Well, government should be even-handed. Government should not be seen as picking winners and losers. And so that's my view on policy. These are two great projects. One appears to be having more government support than the other. And
I think it's sequencing.
That's not a good look.
I know. Couldn't it have been sequencing? Because one is like a problem we needed to solve. It was like a matter of life and death. Bridge that gap in petroleum supply and the associated products that come with it. Then this one is, development. Yeah, we understand the benefits. We understand that it's mid-term, long-term benefits. So the support system is there, but what you feel first is what has been dealt with first. Don't you think?
Well, I don't think there was an urgency to build a refinery. I know you say so.
Yeah.
But you say so because you had a horrible policy of fuel subsidy, which constrained supply.
Yeah.
So the year from when the fuel subsidy was removed to when the refinery started, I think there was a period of time, maybe a year or more, or maybe slightly less. There was no fuel queues.
Yeah.
So the urgency you're talking about,
I
see, once you remove the petroleum subsidy, I saw no urgency with the refinery.
There may not have been urgency, but there was need to clearly bridge that gap, because if you don't bridge it...
Well, there was no gap.
No,
the gap was subsidy.
What we enjoyed in that way was a temporary relief. You needed to find something so. But let's still stay with Eko Atlantic.
Yes.
Because I hear you with the benefits you say, employment, especially in quantum numbers, around Eko Atlantic. But let's look at the redistribution of that benefit and look at the more vulnerable people around the Eko Atlantic and what it has done, and find out where is the trade-off, and find out again if the trade-off has been properly acknowledged. If you look at fishing communities have been displaced, as insignificant as you think, there's still loss of livelihood, and that's what they do for a living, and by nature, that's where they live. So this trade-off, has it been formally acknowledged, and is it balanced?
Well, I don't think anything is significant.
Yeah.
But I think that Nigeria should have passed the stage of subsistence fishing.
Okay.
Yes, there should have been a policy. See, we always talk about policy.
Yeah.
Of Lagos State
Yes.
buying modern fishing fleets, so people can go out. Nigeria, that Gulf of Guinea and this ocean around us is abundant with things like tuna. If we had a modern fishing fleet, you could employ all those people that were displaced, right? And they could make multiples of their income. Yes, we should have considered them, and we should have done something about them at a very low cost.
Should have been in a structured manner. We should have had some foresight.
Yes, foresight. So yes, there's going to be some displacement. There's something called eminent domain, as you know. Eminent domain is the right of the government in the interest of public policy to take your land and give you compensation.
Yeah.
So yes, those people should have been compensated in a structured manner. So there's some negatives, but the positives of Eko Atlantic, in my opinion, far outweigh. And I think that they should get some public support and private support. Now, when you talk about the rich people building in Eko Atlantic, they are employing a lot of people. The American embassy will employ a lot of Nigerians. First Bank will employ a lot of Nigerians. So there's benefits to the staff.
Yeah. I agree with you, MCO. In fact, let me reinforce that, giving you some numbers. Major institutions are migrating from the congested VI in Ikoyi to Eko Atlantic, as we say it.
Yes.
And Eko Atlantic already contributes in the economic sphere. Talking about Lagos State, the Eko Atlantic already contributes 7.8% of Lagos State annual revenue, which culminates to over $1 billion per year. So you're quite right in that sense. So at the end of the day, when you put the picture, you will see that yes, one spectrum of society has benefited, and that society, that's a spectrum which is the wealthy have capacity to pull the other poor. But what I'm just saying is that by way of communication, we shouldn't forget this one, no matter how small it is.
Absolutely.
So, but
excuse me,
what crossed my mind while you were speaking and while you were talking to that, and you've dealt with it properly, but the workers, because Canary Wharf comes to mind.
Yes.
In London. Can the workers afford to live in what they are building in Eko Atlantic?
If they can't, then they should have public transportation. Okay. That's cheap and subsidized for them to get there.
Yeah.
So, again, we should have a well-thought-out, comprehensive policy.
Could there be mixed development, like it's done in the UK?
There could be.
Yeah.
There could be. But my point is, there are options
to
take care of everybody.
Yeah.
And policy should explore those options. Yeah. I would favor, personally, efficient public transportation. So, because I believe in trickle-down economics, even though I'm very liberal. But I do believe that Nigeria is more trickle-down than, say, USA. USA people can insulate themselves. Yeah. But Nigeria, it's impossible to be rich and not trickle-down. Yeah. Your cousins will come looking for you from Imo State.
It's a culture.
So I think that, yes, I think that you're raising good questions, but these are questions that the developers, the investors should have thought about, which is what I talk about managing success in Nigeria.
Yeah, fantastic. So that is very good. Both of them have their benefits. I'm talking about the Dangote Refinery and then the Eko Atlantic. And some of the benefits have their pros and cons and have delivered different levels of benefit. Nigeria crossed into net petroleum exporter. I'm putting the two together now, for example, thanks to Dangote, because in March 2026, for the first time, we have crossed this net as net petroleum exporter. Things like jet fuel exports have surged 770%.
Are you sure of that we're net exporter?
Yeah, well, I said we've crossed into the next exporter bracket.
Okay.
Then
that's a good thing.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we shouldn't end the program without mentioning that the jet fuel exports have surged more than 770% between 2024 and 2026, which is a fantastic thing. The refinery has provided a direct, measurable industrial achievement, like you said, that changes Nigeria's position in global energy markets. That is a good thing. The EDGE certification from the IFC gives Eko Atlantic international sustainability that few Nigerian developments can claim. So you can see there are good things coming from both.
Yes, that was the point of this.
Yes.
To say these are two noteworthy projects, and we like it. Yes. But if Eko Atlantic is listening, I can't afford the land there. So if they want me to be able to
do the good
job and say nice things about them, they may consider giving me a little plot of
yes, and that's why we have barter as an arrangement. So you give, even though it's not tangible,
yes,
but it's very valuable.
So
Ronald, give you something that is tangible, isn't it?
Ronald Shaguri, my good friend, if you're listening, well done. And I'm open to some land grants.
Yes. If you have your pet peeve for the week.
Yes, I have my pet peeve for the week.
Yes.
The one thing that the opposition politicians agree on, or appear to agree on, is that this government is absolutely terrible, whether they believe it or not. But that's what they say. It will destroy Nigeria in a matter of weeks. We must do something about it. Yet, they couldn't get together and form a united opposition. They couldn't get together and agree on how they can be united against this terrible thing that's inflicting Nigeria. And so they've gone into their separate camps, pursuing their separate ambitions. If they cannot resolve internal matters between them and agree to present a united front, how are they going to resolve the complicated issues surrounding Nigeria? It gives me pause. It worries me. It annoys me that you can, for the last 3 years, tell us how terrible this government is. And yes, you cannot get into a room as adults and agree on how to remove this apparently terrible thing. So maybe it's not as terrible as they say. Maybe they don't believe what they're saying. But the actions of the opposition leave me very vexed, very annoyed, and that's my pet peeve of the week.
Thank you very much. That's the episode for today. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for listening. This is Policy Without Politics. There'll be more interesting episodes on the way. Thank you for staying with us.